2018. This has been a wonderful experience for the past 10 years. This is our 10th anniversary. And we really have everyone in the community to thank for all the work that they've done to keep this going and being able to collaborate and be able to network and build our community. Before we get started, I want to let people know that, like I said, everything's always about our community, and this whole conference is really possible because of our community. I want to thank a few people who have stepped out this year. Devin Olsen, where are you? Howard Greenberg, who cannot be here because he's actually at Wisconsin at the EAA at the air show. So, Carl Henry, where are you? Scott Sullivan has helped out over the years. Where are you, Scott? Where are you? Oh, he's probably still sleeping, so. Yeah, he's right there. So, Mike Megara. Mike actually was working sometimes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, so on our website, so he was great job. Paul Harrison, who basically helped us on doing our animal wall. Tom Markovich, which no one ever sees him. He's our treasurer and he manages the money. And Wayne Machasky, where's oh, there you go. And probably the most important thing that just makes this thing possible is our sponsors. And our sponsors are not just people who provide money, they're also people who help us out in providing and having expertise. So we get a chance to go visit the sponsors. They're really about a source of knowledge for the entire community and has always donated their time, not just their money. So just a little logistics for tonight. The bus will be on the side of the hotel, actually right here, actually. And they will pick up people starting around 6:20. So if you're going to the Hopcat tonight, then we'll start around 6:20, and then the bus will start leaving Hopcat around 9 o'clock. So each year we have a host city where we actually have a different set of people who help us out. And we try to make a mixture of different things that are happening each year, but somehow beer is always involved. So we all know our next presenter. He's actually his wife is award-winning home brewer, and he's been a community member and contributor and champion for many years. Ray Billick.
Thank you and welcome everyone to the Mitten State, to Michigan and to Ann Arbor. For those of you that are Michigan State fans, that feeling of dread you have isn't about the community or about technology. It's the fact that you're in close proximity to Michigan Stadium, the big house, so that's why you feel that way. Just a couple things. First of all, thank you for coming. For the 10th anniversary, this is a great showing. Hopefully everyone's having a good time so far. Beer is and always tends to be a part of what makes CollabSphere a success, not just in terms of having fun, but also in terms of sharing and having collaboration, if you will. Some of the best knowledge I've ever learned from a lot of these people here have been held when we both had a beer or drink in our hands. So don't be afraid to ask questions and talk shop sometimes when you're enjoying yourself. Hopefully all of you will have something that you can take back with you and energize not just yourselves, but energize your companies, your businesses. It's about this new technology and the exciting announcements we're going to hear that makes this a very fun time. I know a lot of us over the years have had sometimes dread, sometimes concern, but I think part of the community, along with IBM and HCL, have re-energized what we're about to do. Also, it's great to see so many IBM champions here this week. Don't be afraid to talk to them. They're IBM champions not only because they're smart and they know what they're doing, but because they like to share that information. In fact, IBM champions, stand up. If you're an IBM champion, stand up. As a has-been, or I guess former IBM champion, I always found myself excited when someone came up to me and talked to me. I also was very excited when someone came up to me earlier this week and said, hey, just wanted to thank you. I was in a class with you when you were teaching me years ago, and I noticed that he had an IBM champion tag on, so that was kind of cool. So hopefully have a great week. I also noticed that there's some younger people in the audience. I know I brought my daughter Kiara. Kiara, stand up and wave hi to everybody. She's 16 years old and she wants to go into the dark side. She wants to become a developer. She's still learning a lot, and she wanted to know what she should be learning. And I said, the smartest people I know are going to be at this conference, and they are. So continue to teach, continue to learn, continue to share. That's our future. So with that, thank you all very much for coming. By the way, if you get lost, you are right here. Okay? And anyone in Michigan can point you in the right direction. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to try and coordinate this. Our special guest could not make it in person, and we're going to see if we can do this. Our guest speaker has been involved in email and collaboration technology his entire life. He started his own consulting firm in 1993 and became a Lotus business partner, and a lot of us were Lotus business partners those days. In 1995, he won a Beacon Award for the most significant contribution to the Lotus community. And in 1996, he founded Penumbra Group. He's worked 8 years in HP and was immersed in the traditional Java and C API code while everyone was working on stuff like XPages and modern frameworks. However, he created a pattern of gaining weight while he was being a developer. But in 2013, he became very serious about his health and dropped 120 pounds. So as part of his way to maintain his health and everything, he started picking up cycling. So in order to make his cycling a great investment, he adopted the American Diabetes Association as his cause, and he started doing the Tour de Cure. And he wrote a 2-day, 150-mile version of the classic in 2016. And then in 2017, he did 550 miles version of it. So I'd like to welcome Richard Schwartz. He is our guest speaker. So we're going to try to have Richard on Watson Workspace and Zoom. He couldn't make it, given the fact that he just completed the 550 miles for this year. So give us a few seconds and hopefully get Richard on board. So. Oh, it's after the meeting? Oh, okay. There we go. Richard, can you hear us? Pardon? Richard. Can we hear you? What's going on? Oh, my volume up, okay. Try again, Richard.
Use the mic.
Oh, use the mic. Go ahead, Richard.
On the technology.
Hear me now? All right, sorry about that. Network glitch on my side at the same time, but you were fiddling with something on your side, I think. Are my slides up by any chance? Tell me when. Hi everybody. I really, really wish I could be with you at the CollabSphere this year. Due to scheduling and my participation in the Tour de Cure New England Classic, which I'm about to tell you about. Last week I really just couldn't do it. Taking 2 weeks in a row just doesn't work with my schedule. And the Classic has become a very important part of my life for a number of reasons. The Classic benefits the American Diabetes Association, and it is a 7-day, 550-mile bike ride across 4 New England cities. For those of you who don't know, you can move to the next slide. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Richard Schwartz. I've been in this community for 25 years, as Richard indicated, starting as a business partner in 1993. I've been in the cycling community for a lot less time than that. But the opportunity to get out there, maintain my fitness, and raise some money has been too tempting. I enjoy it. It's almost addictive, I'd say. The next slide shows a couple of pictures of me. daughters, and you can see the difference between the 2013 me and 2014 me. I will admit the 2018 me is a little heavier than the 2014 me was, but it's still well within the bounds of fitness. Keeping fit on the cycle was a choice I made, but I needed goals, and 3 friends recommended the Tour de Cure New England Classic to me when I was looking for those goals, and I couldn't really be happier that they did. Next slide. The Tour de Cure benefits the American Diabetes Association. They run events in dozens of locations all around the country. Most of those events are one-day charity rides. I think they do some walks as well, with distances for the rides as short as 12 miles and as long as 100 miles for a one-day ride, or what we cyclists refer to as a century ride. And they have their website, of course, tour.diabetes.org, where you can see the schedule, get information about all of these different rides. Next slide. The New England Classic is the mother of all Tour de Cure rides. It comes in 2 variations. 2 days, 155 miles, running from a Boston suburb up to Biddeford, Maine, with a one-night stopover at the University of New Hampshire, or 7 days and roughly 550. So the record changes every year a little bit, so it's not really an exact amount. It's the only 7-day Tour de Cure event. Just so that I know I'm still being heard, could somebody just quickly confirm that I'm not speaking to the ether? I hear y'all, thanks. People come from all over. I've ridden with folks from Texas, North Carolina, from Indiana, and even from the UK. Last year I rode, I think, 5 out of the 7 days with friends from the UK, friends who I've met on this ride. And 2 of them are in this wonderful picture here. With the other one, actually, the fellow in the middle in the white helmet is actually Howard Davis, a former IBMer. The route, next slide, as I said, it varies a little bit every year, starting in Boston suburbs, going up into New Hampshire along the seacoast, up to Biddeford, Maine, and then up into the mountains, to the White Mountain National Forest, to the Green Mountains, various state national forests, back down into the Connecticut River Valley, into New Hampshire, and back into Massachusetts. That last day into Massachusetts, although it's the most downhill of all the days, it's also the crappiest roads, I have to say. And between that and the fact that the ride is over, I think it's everybody's least favorite part of the ride, despite the fact that most days we have him with us on that day, whereas for riding against it or crossing with us the other days. Let's move to the next slide, and I want to talk to you a little bit about diabetes. As I'm sure a lot of you know, there are 2 major types of diabetes, type 1, type 2. Type 1 is an autoimmune disease, usually diagnosed in childhood, but not always. Some of the riders in the Tour de Cure are in fact type 1 diabetics who were diagnosed in their 20s or even their 30s. Type 1 diabetes attacks the cells in the pancreas that produce insulin, whereas type 2 diabetes is a very different mechanism. Rather than attacking insulin production, your body loses its ability to respond to insulin. Type 2 diabetes is often, but not always, seen as a lifestyle illness. Certainly, being overweight contributes to the risk factors, but not all type 2 diabetics are overweight or even have been at some time in your life. Sometimes life just deals you that set of cards. So when someone tells you they're type 2 diabetic, and you look and they're skinny as a rail, and they've always been that way, you shouldn't be entirely surprised. Type 2 diabetes has been on the rise for the last 4 or 5 decades. Type 1 has remained relatively steady. The typical U.S. or Western diet is certainly also one of those lifestyle contributors, even if it doesn't make you overweight. In both cases, it's your ability to absorb glucose into the cells throughout your body, causing a buildup in your bloodstream to levels that can be very dangerous. That glucose riding around in your arteries and veins damages blood vessels, particularly in your kidneys, your heart, your eyes, and your nervous system. But the effects are nearly everywhere in your body. Next slide. At last count, we have about 9.5%, 9.4% of the U.S. population with diabetes, and another 25%, or as much as another 25%, are clinically pre-diabetic, high risk for an eventual diabetes diagnosis. 25% of seniors over 65 have it, not necessarily diagnosed, but they have it. And it turns out that African Americans are almost twice as likely to have diabetes as white Americans. It is overall, when you combine the direct and indirect contributions noted on death certificates, the 7th leading cause of death in the United States. Next slide, please. And of course, I have a personal connection to this. I think everyone does. Through family, friends, colleagues. We lost my mother-in-law to type 1 a decade ago after multiple heart attacks and various other complications. And just 3 weeks ago, where I started the tour this year, my first cousin Joshua, that's in Boston, with severe complications resulting from a simple infection and a surgical procedure to excise that infection. And those complications at least partly arose to previously undiagnosed type 2 diabetes. While hospitalized, he suffered several ischemic strokes, which are specifically caused by that weakness in the blood vessels that I mentioned a minute or two ago. I dedicated part of my ride to each of these personal connections this year, and the rest of the ride was just, of course, for everyone. But I do think that I highly doubt that there's anyone in the room in Ann Arbor who doesn't know somebody, have a family member dealing with or having had dealt with. Next slide, please. That's the video slide, Richard. So I've put this together, a few clips from the ride.
with Doug Conley on the final morning of the New England Classic. Doug, as many of you know, worked for Iris, Lotus, and now IBM. He's been a member of our community for more than 20 years. He's also been a member of another community for that long. Doug, tell us about why you're here at the New England Classic.
Hi, about 25 years ago, I had one diabetes. And about 6 years ago, I decided as getting older, I really needed to get in shape and needed something to do it. So I picked a bicycle as my exercise of choice. I also needed to get a challenge, and I looked for a charity ride and came across the 88 Toward the Cure. And as a diabetic, it was a no-brainer to go where it was. In the process, I've gotten more fit, and we've been able to raise a lot of money to help advocacy and research towards finding a cure for diabetes. Over the last 25 years, therapeutic techniques have greatly improved to help our lives, but I look forward to a day when we don't need to fight anymore. Thank you.
Lindsay, you've been coming to the New England Classic for a few decades now. What attracted you to this event, and what keeps bringing you back?
Well, I initially saw the flyer in the bike shop, and it sparked my interest because I wanted to do charity cycling, and I have diabetes, and I felt like this is the way I can help them. And so I started doing it. Eventually I guess to come, and I continued in his memory and in the hopes of sharing it so that friends, my family, my children, and myself don't have to go through the same kind of suffering that I did.
David, I see you're wearing the Red Rider jersey. That tells me that you are a diabetic.
I am.
And I also know you've come all the way from Chicago to ride in this event.
Yes.
Tell us why.
Well, I've been involved in the Tour de Cure for about 7 years, and I'm on the plan training for the Chicago Tour, captain of Team Red, and I really wanted to challenge myself. And I love cycling. Cycling helps me control my diabetes, and this just seemed like the right thing to do for me.
I'm here with Tim Wilson, ride director and head cheerleader for the New England Classic. Tim, I know you've been involved with the NEC for a long time, even before you were heading it up for us. Tell us a little bit about why you keep coming back and what the money we're raising does.
Well, it's all about the people. It's first the people with diabetes that the American Diabetes Association serves. Our mission is to prevent cure diabetes and improve the lives of all people affected by diabetes. So there's those people after first. Next is the people on this tour, the volunteers and the riders, and it's just a very special week. My favorite week of the year, and it's hard to not come back. What we do with those funds is, number one, is a lot of research. Our ultimate goal is to find that cure for diabetes. We fund quite a bit of research. We also do a lot of education for the people with diabetes and the general public to understand disease is quite misunderstood. And then lastly, we also try to raise the voice of the people with diabetes so that we can get support for funding, federal funding, state funding, just to get people to understand the burden of this diabetes on the country and individuals. So the voice of these people with diabetes, unfortunately, we're going to find that solution in a short way.
Friends of CollabSphere, I've known so many of Gartenberg New England Classic as the charitable partner for this year's conference. Special thank you to Richard Moy for all that he does for our community. Those of you who have known me for more than 5 years probably never would have imagined me riding 550 miles, 7 days on a bicycle to raise money for the American Diabetes Association. I have to admit, I never imagined it either. But once I got myself fit, I needed goals. Not just for myself, though, because I'm not entirely self-driven. I needed a way to put my fitness and my desire to stay fit to use. This ride, and others like it, although there really is none other really like this one, help raise funds for research, treatment, education, and services for the diabetic community. I'm sure that there's no one in this room who doesn't have someone, family, friends, colleagues, affected by type 1 or type 2 diabetes. More than 30 million cases in the United States. And with the growing recognition of pre-diabetes as a precursor condition, you can easily double that. The work that the American Diabetes Association is doing right now, you're having this conference, and while I've been riding, is vital to finding a cure and improved treatment and management for those who are already living with diabetes. Thank you so much, once again, for your support. And by the way, I am riding uphill. That's why it's a little bit more work than usual for me to be talking to you. Anyone who knows me knows the talking comes pretty easily. But the wind noise is a lot more when I'm riding uphill. I was riding downhill, didn't work so well. Have a great conference, everybody.
Faith, you are the mother of the New England Classic, and even though you've long since moved out of New England, you keep coming back. Tell me why it's so important to you to volunteer for this event.
Well, I still start this ride in 1992, so it's my ride, and as long as it goes, I go. But I can tell you that the volunteers here, we have a 95% return rate. So it's a family, it's a group, and you can't let your family down. So I will be here as long as this ride goes. It helps people with diabetes. I live to serve. We are here until we find a cure.
Yes, I am. We have a closing slide. just to say thanks. Again, your support means an awful lot to me. When Richard contacted me last week, I was feeling a little overwhelmed. I put this together as quickly as I could. Feel free, everybody, most of you I'm sure know how to contact me, to ask me about New England Classic, other Tour de Cure events. We're always open to riders and volunteers to help make these events run and raise more and more money. Also, please take care of yourselves. Get fit. Get your glucose levels tested annually. And avoid yet another statistic. And the last slide has URLs and QR code for any of you who would be interested in making a personal donation in addition to participating through CollabSphere's partnership with my ride. And thank you very much, especially Richard, and for people who have a great conference.
One of the things that we always do every single year at NWLA CollabSphere is we always have a charity, and this year we've chosen the American Bikers Association and his ride as the charitable beneficiary. What we're doing is raffling off for $10 a chance to get a free weekend stay here at the hotel. So for $10 per raffle ticket, you can get a chance. So our goal this year is to raise $2,000. So you can all help us raise that. It'd be great. We have a number of people who have donated additional items as part of the raffle. Where are you, Andrew? You want to talk about when you're giving away? Can everybody hear me? I don't need that. What's that? So they're saying I need it. Yeah.
So I brought 4 shirts I'm hoping you guys will bid for. These shirts were actually created by a private organization called Detroit Fire Mutual Aid, and they were created a few years ago when Detroit was fighting several fires a day in the city with grossly inadequate equipment and understaffed fire teams. And these shirts were designed and sold out to raise money for that Detroit Fire Department to help them get some of those. They were using ancient Scott packs that were out of date, a lot of stuff that was out of service. It was very unsafe. I had at the time, because I'm also a fireman and because I do some other things, I bought 10 of them. I had 4 of them left that I've been kind of giving away over the time. So there are 4 extra large, never been worn. They're extra large for regular people. They're mediums for firemen. T-shirts. So I'm hoping that you guys will bid on them, and that money, then they can be double fundraiser T-shirts.
Thank you. So Harry Newberry has donated a very special shirt for this event, and I'll let Henry kind of give the whole story about it.
All right, what we have here is one of the third year cult shirts for the, this was the Just Us League. That year we had 2 shirts and I couldn't find the gray one. But I brought 3 of them with me, and Carl Henry bought 2 of them at $50 a piece, so that money is going into the fund. And this one is part of the raffle, so buy your $10 ticket, you can get that shirt.
And Chris, you want to mention your...
Good morning, everybody. Okay, Pen Agenda has a Samsung T5 SSD, 500 gigabytes, the fastest on Earth, for the raffle. That's it.
So pick up 3 and donate and help everyone. So next we have our guest IBM speaker. He is the offering manager for IBM Connections, Adam.
Okay. Give me 1 second to get this set up here. Okay, so I'm, as Richard said, I'm Alan Gartenberg, and I'm offering manager for the Connections. Is this still on? No reactions. Okay, is that better? I just turn it back on. Okay, I'm going to leave it. I'm very glad to be speaking to you today. I just want to comment. It was really inspiring to hear Richard's story. I've known him for a number of years and seen what he's been able to accomplish, and it's really great to see what he's done. As you mentioned, I'm one of the people that has personal connections to diabetes, and so it's been, I think it's a really great goal. Hopefully we'll all come out and participate in that as well. Okay. Are you getting feedback? Yes. Okay. I think this one's off though. Yeah, this one's off. Let's see if I can adjust the settings on this. Or not. That one's off. Further away, is that better? No. Okay, I can go back to holding it if I need to. So, I'm very excited to be here today. Not that excited. Yeah. That better? There we go. Okay. So, very glad to be here today. I know many of you in the room. For those who I don't know, my involvement in I still want to call it the Lotus community, I hope you all understand, dates back coming on 19 years now. Shortly after I joined IBM in 2000. I spent the first 8 or 9 years with IBM working on a variety of strategy roles, competitive intelligence roles. I was the offering manager for Same Time, and then I was the offering manager for Lotus Instant Messaging and Web Conferencing, and then I was the offering manager for Same Time again. I took a brief break to go explore other parts of IBM and came back here a few years ago, and it's been great to come back. I've kept my connections with a lot of you in this community. I have to say it's been very weird as someone I had the good fortune to graduate from the University of Michigan, to see all of the folks from my Lotus side of the house posting on Facebook about coming to Ann Arbor. And it was very weird. But yeah, I did jump at the chance as soon as I found out that the event was going to be here to come and speak, because it seemed like a great opportunity. This really is an amazing place. If you haven't had a chance to explore it yet, hope you get a chance to before you leave. I saw on their website that Ann Arbor was rated the #2 best college town in the country, so a lot to see and a lot to do here. Hopefully we get a chance to take advantage of that. So I do have to say, being back here is making me be a bit nostalgic after having attended graduate school here and being away for the last 19, 20 years or so. And if you'll indulge me for a minute, I'll spend a lot of time today looking forward, take a brief minute to look back. Being here and seeing how much it's changed reminded me of when I was an undergraduate. I went to the same school that my father had. And whenever we walk around campus together, I'd always give him a hard time because he insisted on referring to the building that was the home for, sorry, I forgot to thank the sponsors. I'll come back to that at the end. The building that was the home for my major. I probably spent more time in than any other building as that new building. And the reason I gave him such a hard time and teased him about it was the new building was built in 1972. Of course, karma has a way of coming back to bite you.
And so 20 years later, I'm back on campus on Thanksgiving on an early college tour with my son, and we're walking around and looking at all the construction, and I discovered that not only have they built new buildings since I was gone, they've actually concocted an entire new campus. I'm looking at the map going, South Campus? There wasn't a South Campus when I was here. So it just goes to show you that a lot can change over 20 years, not just in physical structure, but in technology as well. And you think about how much the technology that we use today didn't exist even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It really says something. I think, frankly, it says something to the testament of the product, the domino capabilities that we built and that all of you built, that is still going so strong today and has such a great future. But to give you some indication of how much technology can change, when I was here in school, this was considered state-of-the-art for how my classmates and I coordinated our activities. And even this was state-of-the-art for exactly 1 year, because by the time I graduated, the first-year students all had the cool, sleek new Palm 5, while those of us graduating were left with a clunky Palm 3. But just like things change over the past, it's hard to tell where things will be 5 years, 10 years from now. What technology that we might not even be thinking of today will end up becoming the de facto standard for everything we do going forward. But even if we don't know the specifics in the short term, there are some things that we can tell. So if I was going to ask you, do you think in the future you're going to rely more on AI, less than AI, or about the same amount as today? What would you say? More, right? And if I was going to say that in the future, we're going to be asked to deliver more results than today, less results or the same results, and of course using the same or less resources, I'm guessing the answer would be more as well, right? Similarly, we need to work more quickly than we do today. We're going to be asked to be, expect to be more collaborative, more open in the way we're working, to rely more on technology to help us find and assemble the information we need to deliver the outcomes that we have. So even if we might not know exactly what we're doing, we know the direction the future is going in, and that's exactly the future we're looking to bring forward in collaboration services. So this is kind of our mission statement here, right? IBM Collaboration Services is shaping the future of work with intelligent workstream collaboration. And this term, intelligent workstream collaboration, you're probably going to be hearing more and more of it. There's, some analysts are out there talking about it now. The whole idea is not just focusing on collaboration, but how you bring collaboration into the very fabric of how you're working. And so much of that revolves around the kind of workflow that you're doing, the kind of interactions that you're having, tied back to specific processes that you work on every day. And so that's very much informing what we're looking to do with our solutions, right? How we bring all of this together. And this comes through a unified portfolio that can bring together all of our solutions so that you have the tools you need readily available and integrated together to do the work that you need to do. Comes through offering enhanced human workflow. So looking how we're leveraging our technologies, not just within IBM Collaboration Services, but across IBM and beyond, so that we can deliver intelligent workstream collaborations that are specific to industry use cases, that are specific to the job at hand. And then, of course, built with Watson, being able to apply that unprecedented intelligence to your work to make you and your teams more efficient at everything that you do. And so that's really our vision for work here, right? To make every person in your organization work like the best and brightest, most connected individuals, augmenting their abilities with the power of Watson to drive action-oriented outcomes. And if you think about it, every company, every organization has its superstars. And you think about what differentiates them from everybody else. It's who they know, it's how they're working, it's how they're able to take facts and data and turn it into ideas and then bring that forward. And there's a lot that can be done with technology to bring everybody up as close as possible to that level. And that's what we're looking to help all of you do. So, how do we actually do this? How do we actually put SMART to work? There's a lot that when we think about the future, and we start walking through it, a demonstration in a minute of a walkthrough of what we're envisioning this looks like. But when you think about all the different people that are involved in the work, right? You've got all different levels. You've got executives, you've got knowledge workers, you've got administrative assistants, you've got frontline workers. They all have very different roles, but the one thing that's common across them is all their work is based on this flow of information, right? It comes down to the conversations, the meetings, the content that you're creating or sharing or looking for, right? All of that bringing together. And it's this transactional nature of work that often makes it hard to get our job done, or that leads to distractions that pull us away from what we're trying to do. But what if we had an experience that could work for us? One that lets us take the power of collaboration technology, of this artificial intelligence, and really put that to work. So what I want to do is walk you through an example of a seller. And in sales, time is money. And it's really important that they be on top of everything that's going on in the world so that they can deliver the results that they're being asked to do. Now, as a seller, I might start my work in my day in a lot of different places. I might be in email, I might be my CRM tool, I might be looking through notifications on my phone, but invariably, whether it's a blog post, other activity, alerts, I'm brought to a seller community. So this seller community brings together all the things that I might need as a seller, right? It's bringing together the content, the conversations, the resources I need. And not just that, but it's highly personalized for me. So today, I happen to be looking through a blog post about a new sales promotion that's being offered for a week's worth of services for deals that close this month. So I see that when I come to the portal to learn more about that, but then I also see that there's been an exception flagged here. Right? So I put together a proposal, a request, and this was flagged as an exception. So this data is coming from Salesforce. It was actually flagged by an exception. It was summarized, and that action was noted through the use of the Watson Work Services APIs that are available today. So not something you can get natively in the solution, but something that we're applying on top of that. So what does this mean? What do I want to do? Well, Watson is also suggesting an action I can take here. So you'll notice that there's an action identified to create this deal room. Now, the deal room lets me bring together the people I need, the information I need, so we can quickly work through and progress this opportunity. Activities like progressing the deal room require a lot of coordination. And so let's see what that looks like. So when I click to take that action, it starts off right away with this deal to create the space around this deal. And you can notice a couple of things here. This is integrated into my CRM, to Salesforce. So it's already pre-populated with this information. It knows the title, it knows the opportunity number, it has a description of it, and it recognizes that this relates to a pricing escalation. So once I do that, I can go forward. I need to bring in the applications I need to progress this deal. Now, I notice I've got a Salesforce application here. I've got my workflow provided by Box Relay, and that promotions approver application is a domino application that we've been using in the business for a long time. What really makes this type of situation unique is being able to create, unlike other conversational applications that might be out there, being able to bring together this structured workflow, bringing together Power Watson, bringing together that conversation, and the applications you need in one place around this industry-specific template. So now I've brought the applications, I now need to bring in the people that I need to work with. So there may be people that I know I want to bring in, but Watson's also making suggestions based on their roles, based on my past interactions with them, based on their involvement in other deal rooms like this. And you'll notice that it's suggesting I bring in the deal pricer because this deals with a price promotion as well. I can hover over the name and see more information about this, see how we're connected, or see what her background is as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and create this deal room. And you'll see there are a number of different sections here. So over on the top right, I've got my workflow, so I can see where this is going through the process. In the middle, everyone who came in, this is already pre-populated with information about the deal. So all those people that I just invited in, they can see the context here. They can see that this is about a pricing approval. They can see the deal that we're talking about here, and we can start having a conversation about it. So we're talking here, and The manager comes in and says, okay, I know you're looking for a pricing approval, but what have you done to actually sell the value? We know we can't do is deep a discount. So we need to talk about the value that this customer is going to get out of this. Right? That's certainly a fair question. Now we have a Watson bot that's listening to this, and so without even needing to take any action, it's coming into the conversation, it's listening to the conversation, identifying opportunities to help, and it's suggesting a few pieces of material here that could be helpful, right? So there's a win wire, there's a customer case study, there's some references, so it's suggesting those right off the bat for me. As we're talking, Steve, the technical seller, came in and commented about a conversation that he was part of. Hey everyone, I just had a really good call with Lineware. They love the demo and are totally starting to see the value. Well, that's certainly good news. That's something we should go update the sales record with. Those of you who are in sales, close your ears. Sellers are not really the best at updating the CRM records all the time. You'll notice that there's an underline here by the circle. Watson is recognizing this as an action. So when you click through, it's going to suggest update the CRM record. So simply by clicking on it, I'll come up with a form. But I don't need to flip over to Salesforce. I don't need to ask them to do it. I don't need to go search for the record once I've done it up. This is a view into the application built directly into this deal room, already tied back to the record in question. And it can go in and it recognizes, okay, here's the comment we want to put in, right? We had a really good call to Lineware CIO. They love the demo, starting to see the value. I hit save, and now the record's right up to date, right? Keeping everyone better informed, saving that seller time from having to take away from trying to close the deal to go in and update the record. Right? And now everyone in the stream can see that that record was updated. So they know that that was updated as well. So now, of course, work never waits for anyone. So while I'm doing this, I see that someone has started a meeting to have a discussion. So just like we did with Richard, we're starting up a Zoom meeting in the session. You know, maybe I'm busy, maybe I have to join late, maybe, and of course this never happens to me, but maybe in this case we were kind of zoned out in the meeting and not quite paying attention and multitasking a little bit. What Watson is doing while this meeting is going on is providing a real-time transcript for this meeting. So it's not just transcribing the meeting for us, it's actually summarizing it and identifying actions. So I can see that there's an action called out here for me where I need to go and they're asking about what the proposal looks like. So maybe it's time for me to tune in. I can join the meeting. Today, as you saw, we have Zoom integration. We're working towards integrating the meetings directly into a deal room template like this. And once that's ready, we'll have everything in one place. I can have the conversation, I can see the people I'm working with, the summary is going on. I can share my screen, so in this case, I want to go bring up the deal proposal that we're working on. So I went in and I typed /find in the entry line down on the bottom there. And what that's doing is, before I even have to start to search for something, just by typing in that command, the deal room is suggesting content I might want to look at based on the content of the discussion, the context of the discussion that's going on. So one of the things it's suggesting is a sales proposal, because it knows we're talking, someone asked the question, can I see the sales proposal? I type /find, it's now suggesting the sales proposal as one of the options that comes up there. So I can start sharing that. I'm editing this here in Connections Docs in real time. We're all collaborating on it. We put the proposal together, we bring some information in from the deal, from the win wires and the references. And then when I'm done, that's saved back, it's shared back in the meeting, I can see. And I've got the summary of the meeting over here on the bottom. So the meeting's done, someone might not have been in the meeting. They don't need to spend an hour of their time listening to the meeting. They can go in and click on that, and they've got the transcript. They've got the moments called out, the key actions called out here and summarized for who needs to take action. So if I missed this meeting, I was out talking to the client, let's say, I can come back, I can read through the transcript, I can see it summarized for me using that moment's capability, and I can go see the action that I might need to take for it. If I want more detail, I can click on it and get launched right back into that part of the meeting recording to get more context around what we were talking about there. So now we've updated the proposal with the Windmeyers, we've recommended, we've identified more value that we can talk about with the customer, and it's time to go forward and get the final approval from the pricer for it. So I had mentioned Kelly, our pricer, in the discussion, and let's see if we can get this closed out by the end of the day. So now I'm going to switch over to Kelly's point of view here. Kelly's out on the road, so she's using her mobile phone, and she gets an update that she was mentioned in this conversation, in this deal room. And she can still do everything that we just saw on her phone. So in this case, she can bring up the deal room, she can see the conversation, she can use a moment's capability to summarize it so she doesn't have to read through the whole thread that's been going on all day, just the key points. She gets up to speed really quickly, and now she sees that she needs to take action on this. So she has this highlighted, right, the actions identified. When she goes and clicks on that, it will come up for her to approve the sales promotion. So remember, this is coming in from the Domino application that they use for their sales promotion. So she can click to approve it. She sees the details here. She can enter any comments or go through and click approve. And just like that, we've gone through this whole flow. We've brought the people together in real time. We've saved everyone time by being able to see the summary, by seeing the moments, identifying what actions they need to take. There's a lot less back and forth than they would have had otherwise. And they're able to go through and celebrate a job well done. So hopefully this gives you a taste for what we're working through. Coming out in the very near future. This is a sales example. We're working on examples around other industry solutions such as IT support management and integration into key providers there. We're looking at healthcare. We're looking at crisis management situations. And that's just the start of what's possible with these capabilities. So, going into where we are today in our portfolio and what we're working on and going through. I want to spend a little time on connections. So, we talked about our vision before, where we're going. Let's look at how connections is playing into that. So, if you've heard us speak over the last year and a half or so, you know that we asked you to go on a pink journey with us. We have a lot of exciting things planned for connections. We've started talking about them under the pink umbrella. I will note up front that you're going to hear us talk a little bit less about colors going forward, but the overall outcomes are still the same. When we look at where we're going with connections and the vision that we set out, it really centers around three key areas. The first is around employee engagement and how we connect people to people. And we know in this day and age, employee engagement is more important than ever, but it's also getting harder and harder to do. As companies grow, as companies start using more shift workers, more globalization, it's harder to stay connected to what's going on in the enterprise. And when you think about what it means to really be engaged in your business, right? It's I belong, I care, I belong, and I matter are three essential pieces to engagement. And having a solution that can both make you feel connected to the overall purpose of the company, but also make sure that your interests are being heard, your concerns are being heard back up in the enterprise is essential. We're looking at how we help businesses intelligently do more with less by connecting people with cognitive systems. Now, this is really the path forward given the world, the reality that we live in today, in terms of making sure that the companies can do with the reality they have fewer resources than they used to. And of course, focusing on innovation, something that really separates leading companies from the others. How you connect people with ideas, how you be able to adapt for the future and have the solutions you need that can grow with you and adapt with you based on your needs. So when we look at where we are today, there's a lot that we've done around connections around this vision. We've developed a lot of skills, we've laid the foundation, we've started shipping the first pieces of this vision, but we also learned a lot over this time. We learned internally what it takes to deliver this type of solution, and we've heard a lot of feedback from our clients that are deploying it that it ended up being more complex and more costly than they were really looking to take on. And so when we look at where we are today, if you think about those pink outcomes, and you separate out the two pieces of what we've been talking about with pink, you have the end user outcomes, the actual features and capabilities that we'll be delivering, and you've got the deployment mechanism, which will look to deploy it. And so where we are today is we are still very much continuing on those outcomes, delivering people service and content service and all the capabilities that the new user experience that we've been looking towards. But taking a step back and looking how best to deliver that and get that into all of your hands in a way that will make sense and work best for all of you. So we'll have more to share on this in the very near future. We'll look at capabilities today. We shipped Connection 6 last year. We shipped a component pack with some of those first capabilities towards the end of last year. Delivering on Orient Me, delivering on Customizer, where you can go in and customize your environment, letting you tailor the needs, especially for cloud users, with the Customizer capability to really personalize and tailor that environment and brand it the way you want to, something that's not always easy to do with cloud solutions. Providing more contemporary visual updates available today on the cloud and coming soon for on-premises. And then continuing to build out integration with Watson Workspace, with WebEx, and with Zoom meetings. The Engagement Center is another area that we just had our 1-year anniversary of bringing these capabilities out. It's something that we're seeing have a lot of success with organizations who are looking to use it. It provides a way of providing a homepage for your Connections environment or landing pages for specific communities where you can really fully customize that environment. You can bring in multiple, you can aggregate content from a lot of sources within Connections or outside of Connections. So you can really have a personalized homepage based on the user's role, location, or other capabilities, and be able to both simplify the environment, but also build out the engagement that you're looking for between the executive team or management or employees, be able to collect that feedback, all using the same tools that you're used to using and they're used to using with Connections. And of course, Watson Workspace has seen a lot of growth over the past year. We recently launched 2 new offerings, Watson Workspace Essentials and Watson Workspace Plus with the Zoom capabilities. Looking at how we bring these collaborative capabilities into the conversational UI. I have to say, as a user of this, it's really been a game changer for us for how we can collaborate both from a group and team setting as well as one-on-one. We're using this integrated Zoom capabilities on a daily basis, if not more often, whether it's a scheduled meeting or just an ad hoc conversation. All those times you'd say, hey, let me give you a call, what's your number? Versus just being able to click a button and get into the conversation. And the same thing with the built-in summarization and prioritization. If you haven't used it much, hopefully you'll get a chance to. You've got these cards on your tables to bring you into the trial environment. The handy QR code right at the top, you just point your phone at it and it will bring you in. The Moments capability in particular, the more, I'll admit, when I first started using Workspace, I'm like, okay, I don't know that I need a summary for my conversations, I can follow my conversations. I do this all the time. And then suddenly you're in 10 different rooms with ongoing conversations that each have 10 or 20 or 30 different people. And you come back after being in meetings all morning and you're going, you know what, I can't keep up with every single one of these conversations. Or if I did, that would be my whole afternoon. And being able to go in and click Moments and see that summary and see if there's anything you need to be involved in personally. Or see the conversations where you go, okay, I feel caught up on that, I don't need to go through that. It really is a game changer. And if you haven't been using it, I highly recommend trying it out. Bring some other people in so you can see the power of that when you're having your conversations. Some of the core user problems that Watson Workspace addresses, as I just mentioned, dealing with all this information coming in, separating that signal from the noise, and no longer having to do the context switching of switching back and forth, like the deal room scenario I showed, having all that information in one place really changes the game in terms of how we can get work done and stay productive in our work. And so what we're hearing, people that are using this already, that they're getting work done with others better. They're more productive personally, and they're able to deliver on their outcomes faster. We now have 3 versions of Watson Workspace out now. We have the preview, which is free. Persistent group spaces, one-on-one direct messaging, searchable history, file sharing and storage, application integration. There's a lot that you get just from the free version. Moving up to the Essentials version starts to give you guest access, the enterprise support, the service level agreements, single sign-on. And then Workspace Plus adds in the embedded audio and video meetings and screen sharing for Workspace users with 25, 50, or 200 user meeting options, as well as the space templates that are planned, as I mentioned before. So like I said, please go give it a try if you haven't already, and you have a lot of different options as well. If you're purchasing, if you're a business partner looking to recommend it to your users, a lot of opportunities there. So where are we going from here? As I mentioned before, the 3 key themes that we're focusing on: delivering a unified portfolio with those compelling user experience, bringing together all of the ICS portfolio, the enhanced human workflow. So how do you thread all of this together and bring together these experiences in one place? And then adding in that layer of intelligence and personalization to your work. So things that are available today: Connections, Files, and Watson Workspace integration. Connections Customizer that I mentioned, we're really able to tailor that environment to what you need, whether it's just branding or being able to segment off populations and give them extra features or hide features from that. Looking at Orient Me to provide that personalized experience inside of Connections. The homepage really knows you and can bring forward what's going on in your network for you. And then Watson Workspace with the integration, the summarization, the Zoom video capabilities. What's coming up next? We have some really exciting things coming out, targeting over the next 3, 6, 9 months, but some of these coming very soon. So looking at new community landing pages, we know that's been a difficult spot once you have any number of communities, and those are you who are using Connections. I'm sure I have a lot of communities. Simplifying the editing experience and unified editing across Connections. Customizable community notifications and newsletters. Improving the overall UI around files navigation and viewing files based on the way you're working. Looking at overall UI enhancements for the on-premise deployment. We know that a lot of the capabilities that we've been talking about, the outcomes for Pink, are still coming out in the future. So we're really looking at how we can deliver value to you and your customers today around your on-premise deployment or your cloud deployment. And what we've heard in feedback again, over and over again, is that user experience, the navigation, isn't really what you want it to be, and frankly, it's not what we want it to be. And so we're looking at what we can deliver in the very near term to improve on that. And we're also looking at introducing customizable and shareable templates for Watson Work Services. On the personalization front, continue to make enhancements on the metrics side for Connections. We rolled out the first release of Elasticsearch as an alternative to Cognos for Connections, and we'll be coming out with more enhancements there to both bring it up to feature parity and beyond for Connections. Looking out beyond that, looking further forward, continuing to deliver on the People Service MVP on the cloud, connecting Watson Workspace and Connections portfolios, so you can bring your profiles into Watson Workspace. Continuing to lay the foundational work for Watson Work Service integration for Connections data on premises, and continuing to build out this intelligent meetings capability. We're looking to continue to iterate on Orient Me on the Connections side, offering more personalization and intelligence into there, and continuing to build out integration into the key business applications so you can really enhance that work experience across your team. A couple of announcements. So Connections 6 CR2 is available on Fix Central, as is the latest version of the component pack. But what I really want to talk about, 2 things. One is two new capabilities that we're offering to get your feedback. So a week or two ago, Domino launched their Domino Product Ideas Lab, and today, I flipped the switch this morning, we're live with the Connections Product Ideas Lab. We've heard, so a couple of things here. One, we know your ideas are very important, and your feedback on prioritization is very important to us as we go through with the product management team, the development team, our design team, on how we prioritize what capabilities come out of the product. We've also heard that at times things have seemed like a bit of a black hole, that you're making suggestions to us, either maybe in the existing idea communities or through the support service, the support organization, or direct one-on-one to us, and you don't really know what's happening there. And so we are launching these sites to allow you to provide your feedback to us, to vote on the ideas that are out there, and also for us to be able to be transparent with you in terms of where things stand, either by providing comments back or by showing you where things are through the process. And so we'll be updating this. You might tell from the URL, we're using the AHA service, which is the #1 product management service out there, specifically because of the integration in with their product management capabilities. So this is what we'll be using internally to manage the feature process and through the development process. And this gives us a way to round trip those capabilities, to take an idea, promote it to a feature, track it through the product development process, and make sure you have the feedback as it goes from under consideration to planned to shipped, and get that notification. So we hope you'll go check those out, give us your ideas. I know within the first week or two, Domino already has several hundred ideas. On the connection side, I've pre-populated it with the ideas, with the suggestions that have come in directly to the support organization. We're looking to add to that with enhancement requests that have come in through other sources, so that we've got a starting point there. Please go in and vote, give us your feedback, so that we can make sure that we're taking your priorities into account when we're doing our own planning. The other thing that we will be launching very shortly is a new IBM Collaboration Solutions community. So this is a new community built on Connections and the Connections Engagement Center that will bring together a number of different aspects and serve as an aggregation point and a launching point to a number of communities out there. As I said, we really want to redouble our efforts to connect back with all of you and make sure we've got the engagement with all of you and the two-way communication stream to help rebuild and reinforce the community. So the type of contents we're looking at here, virtual symposiums, so conference-like experience to interact and share information across the collaboration space. We'll focus on driving enablement and adoption. So serving up a repository of knowledge, assets, training videos to drive adoption for these communities within your organization. Give you a way of submitting ideas and linking out to the idea portal that I just mentioned. Having a developer-focused site for documentation, open source content, and technical discussions. And then connections out to the Destination Domino with the recently launched page for Domino. And again, the overall goal here is to create a single destination for collaboration, enablement, and engagement with all of you and with us in IBM. Some more you can learn about Connections and Watson Workspace. There are sessions later today on Watson Workspace versus the competition, and the Watson Workspace Roundtable take place later today. Tomorrow we have the IBM Connections Roundtable, and you have to make a choice. Also, what's new from Watson Workspace, focus on resolution rooms, both at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So I'll be, from the connection side, I'll be going into a lot more detail on the roadmap and more detail on some of the capabilities I just highlighted in passing here today. On the Domino side, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it. You notice I haven't gone into a lot of detail here. Andrew and Richard and company have a whole session this afternoon where you'll hear all the latest about what they're working on with Domino 10 and heading into Domino 11 on our way to Domino 2025. So I know there's a lot of exciting things going on there and a lot of exciting sessions going on already, and over the next 2 days focused on Domino. And I know Andrew and Richard will have a lot more to share on that. And just one closing note on this side. We recently introduced our app dev product manager for Domino, Thomas Hamble. So I know a lot of you may know him already, and very excited to share that as well. So with that, I'll go back, and I was remiss at the opening in thanking our sponsors, but I do want to thank them. They're the reason we are all here today and make this all happen. So a very big thank you to them and to all the organizers, and have a great show. Thank you.
So, you know, when Andrew and Richard did the Back to the Future event and started the whole concept of the 2025 for Domino, they started the whole Back to the Future thing. So we have a lot of things that we're going to be doing in terms of Back to the Future. So later this afternoon, we will have the Domino OGS. We're going to just focus on Domino and what's new, and both Jason, Richard, and Andrew is back there right now. Say hi. And they're going to provide everyone with the latest things that's happening at HCL and at IBM for Domino. So we decided to make Back to the Future the theme, and right after the OGS, we have created a new version of speed sponsoring. It's going to be Back to the Future sponsoring. So Back to the Future sponsoring, every single sponsor here who actually has a booth will have to perform a 4-minute skit with 10 taglines or quotes that are from the movie. And based on what I've heard, and actually in our own company, we spent weeks on this thing trying to create these skits. So it'll be emceed by Tony Holder, and he has an interesting outfit himself. And we will be providing 4-minute skits, and you as audience will get a chance to vote on who gets the winning prize. So if you guys are from CollabSphere or ever attended CollabSphere, you understand what the prize is going to be. So we'll keep that secret. Only a few people know what the prize is, but you will enjoy the end of it. But make sure that the winning sponsor actually do something with it. So you will see understand what I'm talking about when you see it. So as part of this whole Back to the Future theme, Rob Novak is going to provide a trivia questions, and he has a few prizes. And you notice we have a lot of wireless mics here, and that's the reason because most of the sponsors have whole teams of people coming, so.
Everybody stand up and take a 15-second stretch break. I really needed to, so.
Probably those fancy shoes you're wearing.
All right, so let's close out this morning with a little bit of fun. Got some Back to the Future trivia for you. A lot of you have been asking me about my bling the last couple of days, and that actually is part of our prizes. I purchased a number of sets of these from ThinkGeek, who is the exclusive maker of the Back to the Future collectible pin sets. They are currently out of stock because of me. Now this morning what I'm going to do is we're going to go through 10 questions and 10 people are going to win 1 pin each. And then, these are increasingly more difficult questions, not too difficult. Then I have an expert level set of questions. So, who here has seen Back to the Future more than, let's call it, 10 times? All right, so we have some experts in here. All right, awesome. You might want to wait because my 2 rules are, 1, don't shout out the answers. You're going to have to raise one. Take one of these Watson workspace cards. We're going to raise that. And I need a spotter. Can somebody help me with that? Who doesn't care about getting a pin? Peter? All right. You're going to watch for the first card that goes up on each of my questions and call them out. Okay, so why am I doing this? I love this movie. And the mid-80s. Two things, I don't think much has changed at all. And the second thing that bothers me about this photo is I have no idea who the blonde lady is standing next to me. Somebody with blonde hair, who knows. In the 80s, in the mid-80s, I was a projectionist. And what at the time was a massive multiplex theater, we had 9 screens. And we had to have 2 projectors for that, or 2 projectionists for that at all time, handling 5 and 4 each. And of course, Back to the Future was released in 1985. I was a projectionist at the time. I had to screen it, I had to watch it, and watch it, and watch it. I've probably seen the movie 150 to 200 times, the first one. Second and third, since I got addicted, maybe 30 to 50 times each. Oh, fun fact, Back to the Future 2 was released 4 weeks before what? Anybody? Lotus Notes 1.0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the question up, and I'm going to read it. I know some of you read faster than I can speak, but Peter's going to find the first card that goes up, and we'll see how you do on your answers. If you have a correct answer, you are a winner of one of these pins, and at the end, when we have 10 winners, you can come up and choose one. So, anyway, we're going to do it that way instead of one at a time. That way we'll move along more quickly. And then, as I said, at the end, I have a set of 4 questions I'll leave up on the screen for any experts or people who know how to use Google. By the way, I know some ungoogleable things. I just have 1 or 2 in there. And the quality of your answers, the completeness, correctness, I'm going to give you 4 hours to work on that, and we're going to take the best quality answers. I'm going to choose who won the expert level, and you'll get an entire pack of the collector pins at Speed Sponsoring. All right. So I'm going to throw you a softball, and I'm expecting every card here to go up in the air. First question. How much power does the flux capacitor require? Who do we have? Who do we have? No! Next card.
1.21 gigawatts.
You got it. 1.21 gigawatts. Which, by the way, was a unique pronunciation for the movie. We all know it's actually gigawatts. Excellent. Congratulations. Now you can help somebody else around your table. Second question. In Back to the Future 2, Marty dons a new pair of shoes. What is unique about those shoes? Kevin. They are self-lacing. 27 years later, Nike actually made the Air Mag. They made 100 pair, auctioned them off, and some of those are now being resold, brand new. The Nike Air Mag is currently the most expensive shoe in the world. There's currently a pair on eBay for sale for $59,998. Now that's the one they made 3 years ago. An original shoe prop, single shoe, left shoe, in fact, was sold 2 years ago for $92,200. Okay, next. What alias does Marty end up with when he travels to 1955?
Calvin Klein.
Calvin Klein, that is correct. For those of you who haven't seen the scene, this is how it progresses. I've never seen purple underwear before, Calvin. Why do you keep calling me Calvin? That's your name, isn't it? Calvin Klein. It's written all over your underwear. Little known fact, when the movie was released in France, his name was Pierre Cardin, not Calvin Klein. That is true. And George McFly finally works up the nerve to ask Lorraine to dance. What is his iconic line? Ray. Close enough, I'm going to give you that. All right, number 5. Oh, wait, we have a video interlude. See how loud it is? Said, I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. And the question, when Marty and the Pinheads audition, who gives a cameo as a judge? Where are we? That was Huey Lewis. Okay, number 6. What is the name of the conveyance dealer in all 3 movies? Anyone? Brandy, we got one up? Yes?
Talking about DeLorean?
No, not the DeLorean. Anybody? Well, I have some reserved questions just in case nobody got one. I'll give you a clue. Toyota pickup. Okay. The family name of the dealer in all 3 movies was Statler. Statler Toyota in Back to the Future. Statler Studebaker in 1955. Statler Pontiac and Hover conversions in 2015. And in 1855, Honest Joe Statler's Fine Horses. All right, I'll think of another one. I told you they were getting a little harder. All right, so there were a lot of product placements in Back to the Future. Which one is in the opening scene of the original movie, where all the clocks are? Which product placement? No, close. Yes? Close. Oh, no Coca-Cola in Back to the Future movies. All right, the very first, what? You got another one?
Alpo.
No. In fact, that's not even the brand of dog food that Einstein eats.
Oh, it isn't? All right, man.
Okay. The very first thing you see in the opening scene, where all the clocks are, and Mr. Coffee, and a crumpled up Pepsi can, very first thing you see is crumpled up wrappers from Burger King. where they are next door to because Doc Brown sold 435 acres and Burger King took part of that. Anybody know what the first spoken line was? Close. You had to have that phone conversation first. I'll tell you, it happens right after the guitar. Whoa, rock and roll. I should make some more easy ones. Okay. Who played Marty McFly first? Correct, Eric Stoltz. This just looks wrong, so I made it go away. Tell you a little bit behind that. Eric Stoltz was cast because Michael J. Fox was unable to meet the commitment of doing the movie initially, and the reason for that was that he was starring in a TV show called Family Ties. And after 6 weeks of filming and Eric Stoltz not working out, the comedy wasn't working, it was sort of dark and broody. And they went back to Michael J. Fox, and he ended up doing Family Ties during the day, got picked up by a driver at 9:30 in the morning, worked Family Ties until 6, got picked up by a driver, went from Paramount to Universal, worked from then until about 3 in the morning, got picked up from there, dropped back home, sometimes carried in to his home, into his bed, and then the driver came back again at 8:30, made a pot of coffee, turned on the shower, and then woke him up. He did that for over 3 months. All right, number 10. Anybody have any idea why I'm wearing this ridiculous shirt? I'll give you 2 clues. Number 1, Peter has not hired me. But if he did, this would probably be the initiation. And number 2, I'm not having wistful memories of CollabSphere in Orlando. Anybody?
Guessing it has something to do with the movie.
Yes! As a matter of fact, back to a video to explain it.
Excuse me.
Alright, so you all saw Dave's brother in the photograph where his brother and sister disappear and then reappear at the end. Was wearing this shirt. And it was sort of a poke in the eye at Disney, by the way, because Disney had rejected the script. They were one of 20 studios that rejected Back to the Future when it was pitched by Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but Disney rejected the script based upon the concept that they didn't want a movie where a mother fell in love with her son. Back in 1985, that wasn't a big thing. Of course, they don't have any problem now with, Luke kissing Leia. Okay, so let me throw out a couple of softballs here. Does anybody know which two characters were played by different actors between Back to the Future 1 and 2? That's one. You know the other? Okay, I'll give you one for that. The other? That's correct. George McFly was not played by Crispin Glover in the second movie. And Marty's girlfriend, the actress's mother, fell ill, so she wasn't able to film the second one. She was replaced by Elizabeth Shue for the second and third movies. They didn't really have much for her to do. So basically, at the beginning of the second movie, they drug her. And at the end of the third movie, it's a week later, and they go and wake her up off the front porch. So she didn't have a whole lot to do, but interestingly, they had to reshoot a couple of scenes from the end of the first movie so that they could repeat those few minutes. All right, let's see, what else can we do? I already have the dog. Does anybody know who played Biff Tannen? Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and put the expert round questions on the screen. If you want to play the expert round, come up, write them down, figure out your answers, then come find me for speed sponsoring, or at speed sponsoring, and pick a winner then. Everybody who did win can come on up and grab a pin.
Go get your pin. Winner.
Before we get going and get the first sessions, just a reminder, if you want to get raffle tickets, they're right at the registration desk. Help join us and raise $2,000 for the American Diabetes Association. And also, when you turn back for the download OGS, if you have your IM sign, please bring those because we're going to be doing some fun things with that. So enjoy the rest of the show and have fun.